although it took me a long time to return to Christianity, I, I, I realized that I could actually summarize my journey in 3 or 4 points. The first point is that creation does not create itself, and which seems fairly obvious. There has to be a creator in order for something to be created. But philosophers at least, have tried to get around this issue by denying causation itself in some way. Such as, for instance, there's the idea of causality really being just within a person's mind. So apart from that, there is some other reality to how things are, which we have no business or we have no idea about. But I realize that if you're going to deny causation at all, then what's the point of using causation, using logic in order to make your point? And so I guess it's also a matter of faith if you actually believe in causation, which is consistent with using causation to make your argument, or to deny causation altogether. The second thing I realized was that a non-loving impersonal God does not create loving persons. And I guess this requires more meditation than actual step-by-step reasoning. We come to realize, at least I came to realize, that consciousness itself, being a person itself, is not something that can be reduced to the way we understand nature. Consciousness itself is not a phenomenon of nature. It's not something that we could observe from afar, just like other stuff that we could observe in laboratories or through statistics. That is not what consciousness is, and it's not something. And I realize that it is really not something that we're gonna ever get around to discovering through scientific means. Ultimately, it's a spiritual issue. It's an issue of faith. I hate those crickets. So the third point is that a loving personal God would want to reveal himself to us. And we know this because we as persons also would want to reveal ourselves to those we love, or even just those people we like in general. We want to associate with them in some way. And so we could have if we believe in causation, if we believe in persons, if we believe in love at all, we know that that God himself would reveal himself to us. And so it's at this point that we begin questioning why the Christian God, and why not the God of other religions, or why not just some general idea of God that could accommodate Christian God and the Muslim God and the Buddhist God or the Hindu gods. Why the Christian God? Shouldn't we be okay with just the general idea of love each other? It doesn't really matter what the doctrines are. And I actually have an excerpt here from something I wrote nearly 20 years ago, August 15, 2001, where I said, "In the end, all religions aim for the same thing, that we may lead better and more meaningful lives." And from that sentence, you could see how my orientation towards religion was one of practicality and not having anything to do with actually answering the big questions of life or being united with this creator of ours. Actually, even this idea is best even this concept of God is actually best met by the Christian God. I could read from 1 John chapter 4 verses 7 to 8. Wait, I'll just get my Bible. "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and he who loves is born of God and knows God. he who does not love does not know God, for God is love. Which sort of seems to affirm the idea that as long as we love each other, that's fine. But the thing is, if we really do believe that there is a loving God and that we should love each other, then we should want to know who this God is, and we could assume also that our God wants to reveal Himself to us, and that He has revealed Himself to us, and so it would be kind of irresponsible of us to not even consider how to go about discovering who this God is. And through my experience, I realized that Jesus Christ really is God. Jesus Christ really is the truth. And so we know that God really did reveal Himself to us through Scripture and through the church that gave its own seal of approval of the Scripture. And when we love somebody, or even when we just like them, we would also not only reveal ourselves to them, but we would also like to get to know more about them. And that's where our interest in Scripture lies, and all other things that have to do with God, Jesus, and truth. Lastly, and most importantly, we realize that God Himself gave us the standard for love. Jesus' life, Jesus' suffering, and Jesus' death provide us with an understanding of love that we don't get anywhere else. Jesus Himself said that there's no greater love than laying down one's life for one's friends, and that makes us His friends, apparently, which is like the best news we could ever have, actually. Because if God is on our side, then we're pretty much good with anything that happens. I wonder at the timing of this noise outside, the crickets and the construction work being done. But anyway, so to sum up, creation does not create itself. An impersonal, non-loving creator does not create loving persons. And a loving personal God would want to reveal Himself to us. And we ultimately find out through His revelations that Jesus Christ is God and loves us.